All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is immigration attorney Moumita. I am back again live. It has been a very long time since I have been able to join you live, but here I am. My name is Moumita Rahman. Nice to see everybody over here. I have been an immigration lawyer for the past 15 years, and the world of immigration is extremely hot right now. It's hot in the sense that we are going through a lot. So let's go ahead and talk. Let's talk about immigration. Let's talk about the questions that you have on your mind today. And for those of you joining me for the first time, it is so nice to be here. So nice to be here with you guys and talk to you about your concerns and your immigration cases. If you are a current client, thank you so much for being a client. Thank you so much for your patience with us as we go through all of these hard times together. And let's talk immigration. I know that we have gotten Mexican Dolph. Hello, long time since I've seen you. Hello, everybody. Mustafa, thank you so much. Mustafa is saying happy to hire you in your team as my lawyer. Thank you so much. Mexican Dolph, best lawyer ever. Thank you so much. Am I single? No, I'm married for 15 years. So please go. Don't. Personal Natalie, yes, we're very, very busy right now. We're very, very busy. And if you sent us a DM, please, the best way to get in touch with us is actually to give us a call, 212-248-7907. All right. So okay, well, someone's got a question right away. I need a guarantee that I will fix papers and I will hire ASAP. I've got a criminal record. Well, my friend, if any immigration attorney is guaranteeing you that you're going to get approved, they are not being ethical, because no one can guarantee anything. The only thing that somebody can guarantee is how hard they're going to work, what they're going to do in your case. And the truth is that when we file any sort of immigration case, when we do anything, we never know exactly how it's going to go. Even before Trump, you know who I'm talking about, before this president, even before, no one has any guarantee about how their immigration case is going to go, even during the best of times, because immigration cases are decided by, lots of different types of officers that have different beliefs and all of those things. But the one thing, it doesn't matter what the guarantee is, whether there is one or not. The most important thing is for you to work with an immigration lawyer that has the following qualities. If you're going to be paying thousands of dollars for your immigration process and for somebody else to essentially hold your life in their hands, you want to make sure that your immigration lawyer cares. Because if they don't care, if they're just taking your money and going and not doing anything, then they don't care. And they don't care whether anything is going to happen to you or not. They have no moral obligation to try to get your case to win. They have no moral obligation to tell you the truth. So you, number one, want to work with a lawyer who cares. Number two, you want to work with a lawyer who is not going to give up. If you work with a lawyer who's just like pessimistic and like, no, we can't do this, we can't try that, oh, it's never going to work, then how will you know if you will win? I think it's more clear now, more than ever, that if you have a possibility to succeed on your immigration case, if you have any sort of hope of succeeding in your case, if you have any probability of success, now is the time to apply, because of the fact that, especially now more than ever, they're coming. They're coming, right? You're sitting there as a target if you're undocumented. So try to fight. We are here to fight. You did not come to this country just to give up. You did not come to this country to self-deport. You did not come to this country to be ripped away from your family. So when you are making that decision about who to call, who to work with, who to trust with your case, don't work with people who you don't trust, who don't care about you, and who are going to give up on you. Your lawyers need to be the one to fight for you. It is more important now than ever, okay? All right, guys, let's go ahead and answer some questions. How long does it take for USCIS to send approvals on an I-130 and I-485 interview? Betty, we see varying timelines. We sometimes have to wait months for the answer after the interview. Sometimes we get an answer within a few weeks after the interview. It just depends on the office. It depends on the officer, and it also depends on whether or not your case has any sort of complicating factor that requires additional requests for evidence or additional supervisory review. Okay. Rise Jerusalem, thank you so much. Can someone with VAWA through marriage travel outside the country? From Titus Glover. Titus Glover, at this moment, we are recommending that anyone with advanced parole not travel because there has always been a risk that if you have advanced parole, you may have trouble re-entering the country. And I think that risk right now is a little bit more heightened even. So if you don't have to travel, if there's no emergency, if you have advanced parole, then we recommend that you stay put. Even though it may be okay, it's really a risk you have to decide whether or not you are willing to take, because if you travel on advanced parole and they don't let you back in, then you'll be in a very, very tough spot, okay? Just a quick question, undocumented immigrant, what does this mean? People with social and work permit and pending asylum case, or they don't have anything yet? From Joe77. Joe77, that's a very interesting question. So can you say that you're not undocumented if you have a work permit and if you have asylum and some social security numbers through your case? The technical answer is that the word undocumented is really for people who don't have any sort of actual immigration status. So what is immigration status? Immigration status is going to be a visa status, a green card, and of course, US citizenship, which means that you're a citizen. But if you just have a pending case, if you just have a pending asylum, if you just have a pending I-485, you have a pending I-130, those by itself don't give you actual legal status. They'll just give you, it just means that you're still waiting to receive a legal status, okay? I still haven't received the receipt notices yet, and we filed for the VAWA in March 2nd, 2025 from Danish Khan. Danish Khan, we are seeing that there's a big delay in getting receipts back from USCIS. It's taking anywhere from 3 to 4 months to get receipts at this point. In our office, we are still waiting for some receipts since January, okay? No, not since January. It's kind of late right now, but since maybe February. Rice Jerusalem first time. How long does it take to get a U visa EAD after filing? And if the person is on legal status? From Saikiran. Saikiran, the U visa EAD, I think it's taking like a year maybe to get. Is it true that if you have a green card and you travel out of the USA, you can be stopped from returning even though it's valid? From Val Malesi. Val Malesi, such a good question. Can you be stopped from returning to the US if you have a green card? So basically the question is it safe to travel out of the US if you have a green card? Will you be guaranteed a return? And the answer is kind of like a mixed yes or no, because just because you have a green card doesn't always mean that things will go well at the airport. However, here's the catch. If you have a green card and you are returning to the United States after international travel, border CBP has to, they basically need to let you back in. And if they want to argue that you're not admissible because you abandoned your green card status or you have some sort of criminal issue, you have the right to ask to see a judge. You can ask to be put into proceedings in front of an immigration judge, which is not always the best thing, because then it means that you're officially in deportation. And yes, even if you're a green card holder, you can still be placed into removal proceedings to be deported from the US. But the bottom line is that, especially when you're coming back to the US on your green card, they can't just refuse you entry, and they can't force you to give up your green card at the airport. Although they will try to get you to sign a document to get you to give up your green card, but they can't make you do that. You have to voluntarily do that. So don't voluntarily do that. Ask to see a judge instead. But of course, if you ask to see a judge, if you get placed in proceedings, then you may be arrested and detained for a long time, which is, it's up to you what you want to do. But I would venture to say that it's probably better to be detained and fight in court than basically give up your green card and not be allowed back in for, who knows, 10, 20 years. KR, thank you, Moumita Rahman, for all that you do. You're the best. Has any of your clients already received a bona fide EAD from T visa application after August 28th? Thank you so much. From Kay, thank you so much for the question. Now, this is such an interesting question, because the reality is that once the rules and the regulations change a little bit after they allowed us to have bona fide determination work permits for T visa applicants. We got so excited thinking that, oh my gosh, this is great news. All of our clients are going to get EADs while their T visa case is pending. But the reality is that only a small handful of people have actually gotten bona fide determinations. And it is very, very mixed. We don't know exactly why some people get bona fide determinations and others don't. In our office, only a small percentage of our clients have gotten the EADs through the bona fide determination. Elsewhere, all of my immigration colleagues, what the feedback that I have heard is that they're denying the requests to some people and they're approving the bona fide determinations for others. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no clear logic that we can follow. And there's no explanation. And there's no way for us to appeal it either. So it's a hope that we had that every single case would get it. In reality, it's a mixed bag. And we've only had, in our office at least, we've only had a few people get this special work permit, okay? Can we stay in the US with any pending documentation with USCIS? Do we need any document to provide anywhere else? And can we travel, fly to different states in the US? Well, stories by Deepika, you can stay in the US on some applications that allow you to stay here that are pending sometimes, but not always. Okay, it's kind of a complicated question, so I can't quite answer it. I have a VAWA with you, but they scheduled me for a master hearing from Palestine Forever, Gaza. So yeah, the unfortunate reality is that because of the harsher enforcement of immigration, a lot of you out there are going to see that you're going to receive notices to appear in court. And primarily, we are seeing persons with expired visa statuses or with denied cases from the past. Like, for example, if you and your spouse filed a marriage green card case and it got denied a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago even, maybe now you're going to start receiving notices to appear in court. So if you have filed for a VAWA, if you have filed for a T visa and you start getting these notices to appear, what are your options? What can you do? And the reality is that right now it's going to be much more difficult because even 6 months ago, 1 year ago, we were able to get dismissed for almost all of our clients who had cases in court where we showed that we have a pending VAWA or a pending T visa case outside of court or an I-130. We were able to successfully get dismissed almost everything. We're talking about dozens and dozens of clients in deportation had their cases dismissed because the government was agreeing to do that. But now we have you-know-who in office who's going to make everything harder, and he has taken away the discretion of government attorneys to agree to dismiss cases. So now, even if you have a pending VAWA, now even if you have a pending T visa case, or even if you have a pending I-130, even if you have these things and you get a notice to appear because of something from the past, and the unfortunate news is that we don't know what's going to happen. The judge is not likely. We don't expect that judges are going to agree to terminate cases. We definitely don't expect the Department of Homeland Security to agree to dismiss cases, which means that for the most part, we are probably going to have to see if you qualify for asylum or cancellation of removal or something in court that will allow you to put in a defense in front of the judge. Now, VAWA cases, T visa cases, I-130s, these are not things that the judge can decide because they are decided by USCIS, which is a completely different agency than the Executive Office for Immigration Review, which are the judges. And if you have something outside of the court, outside of EOIR, sometimes the judge may agree to keep continuing or keep rescheduling your case so that that application can be decided outside. But these days, we don't know what's going to happen, okay? So if you got an NTA, if you have a master calendar hearing coming up, you yourself have to attend. The lawyers that you hire for a VAWA or a T, they may not be able to help you with it. You just have to discuss with your attorney, okay? Now we have less probability if I want to remove my conditions in the green card marriage from Damien. No, and let me talk to you about removal of conditions because the removal of conditions is something that you have to fight for. If you have a 2-year resident card and it's time to renew your card because it's about to expire. If you have a 2-year conditional resident card, do not do this by yourself, because the chances of you ending up in deportation proceedings if your I-751 gets denied because you're working alone without the expertise of a lawyer and you have complicated issues like you don't have enough evidence, your spouse doesn't want to help, or you're separated from your spouse, or you got divorced, do not go it alone, because anytime an I-751 is denied, they will almost automatically 99% of the time send you to court. So how do you prevent a denial? And is the chance of denial even higher right now? And the answer is no. The chance of denial is not harder. However, they are going to send more requests for evidence. They are going to ask you to show up to an interview, and the process will be longer. But that is okay, because we are ready for this. At my office, we have dealt with so many complex and complicated I-751s. We have one I-751s for people who started the case together with their spouse but are no longer living together, and where they might be getting divorced, or the client is suffering extreme cruelty and battery. So what is extreme cruelty and battery? It is emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, psychological abuse. If you are suffering these things during the course of your marriage, and you have a 2-year resident card that you now have to scramble to try to apply to renew, and your spouse doesn't want to help, and you have stuck it through all these years to get your green card and to stay married, but now they're abandoning you, they're cheating on you, they don't want to help you, they're hurting you, it's time to look into exploring the option of filing for an I-751 waiver by yourself, because especially these cases are so complex and they do push back a lot. So the chances of denial are not necessarily higher, but the chances of it becoming harder to go through the process by yourself are definitely much higher. So if you are here with a green card that you got through marriage and that is about to expire within 2 years, don't delay in speaking with a lawyer on filing your I-751. If you're filing it with your spouse, you have to file it before it expires, in the 90-day period before it expires. But if you're not with your spouse, if you're not living with your spouse, or you got divorced, you should definitely speak to a lawyer. And we would be happy to speak to you about your case. Our telephone number is 212-248-7907. I have helped hundreds of I-751 clients get approved. Even I have had people who had their I-751s denied by other attorneys, and they got sent to court, and we were still able to refile the I-751 and get it approved. I have had I-751s for persons who tried to file with different attorneys. They got it denied. They went to court. The judges ordered them removed, and we were able to reopen those orders of removal to refile the I-751 and get them approved. Clients are now green card holders once again, okay? So the bottom line is that, going back to what I said earlier, during these difficult immigration times, you're not just going to give up. Are you just going to give up because of the Cheeto in power? You're not going to give up because of the Cheeto in power, right? And it's scary out there. It's even scary for those of us who are US citizens, because we don't know exactly who they're going to try to arrest. But my obligation and my duty is to fight. You know, I'm going to fight for my children, for my child. Sorry, I only have one child. I'll be fighting for my family, and I'll be fighting for my clients and my team. So don't give up. And if you think that just because the probability of getting your I-751 approved is less because of what's going on right now, well, I mean, if you don't apply, then you will end up in removal for sure. So you don't want to just give up that easily. You want to at least make an effort. And again, if you have to file your I-751 and you're not with your spouse any longer, don't worry. There are certain waivers that you can do. Okay. Mom Silo is asking, can sons and daughters of green card holders file VAWA and if successful obtain their own green card? Please elaborate a little bit on this, especially on priority dates and such. So that's a good question. Sons and daughters of green card holders can file for VAWA if they have suffered abuse at the hands of their green card holding parents, okay? So if you're the child of a green card holder and your parent has abused you, then you may file for a green card as long as you are underneath 21. And the main thing about priority dates is that if you are not a US citizen who is an immediate relative, then you are subject to preference categories according to the visa bulletin. And that means that you can file for the I-360 VAWA at any time. However, in order to file your I-485, your priority date must be current according to the visa bulletin. Now, I'm not going to go into that much explanation because it's a complicated topic, but you can look it up online. And I know I've made some other videos on it before, but all you have to do is Google Visa Bulletin Board and look at the current or the upcoming month. And also make sure you look at the USCIS page to see whether or not the category is required to use the dates for filing chart or the final action chart, okay? Can I sponsor my stepson if he is undocumented? From M. Core. That is a good question. If you and your stepson's parent got married before they turned 18, then they are your stepson for immigration purposes, and you may be able to file for him if you are a U.S. citizen and your stepson has a legal entry. Now, if your stepson does not have a legal entry, then it's a little bit more complicated. We have to look at other ways to help him fix his status, okay? Feel free to give us a call, 212-248-7907. Can you talk about VAWA following a pending marriage-based green card because of a complicated relationship from Abdullah? Okay, so can I talk to you? I will talk to you about what happens if you have a pending case for a marriage-based green card with your husband or with your wife, but things are not going well, right? Things are not going well, and you are in a complicated relationship where you're suffering a lot of problems. Your spouse doesn't want to continue with you. They move out, they hurt you, they terrorize you, they cause you a lot of problems. And if you are going through that, but you already filed a case together, then what are your options is what I'm guessing your question is. And the answer is that if you're going through any of these abusive symptoms of these in this relationship, then even if you filed a case with your spouse, you can ask to basically convert your case to an I-360 application simply just by filing the I-360. You can notify the field office that you filed this. And if your case with your spouse already got denied, then you can just simply file the I-360 with a combination I-485 if you qualify, okay? And what would happen is if your previous green card case is still open with your spouse, it's not yet decided, but you file for VAWA in the middle of that before a decision is made, then at some point they're going to continue processing the I-485 with your spouse because they don't know that you filed a VAWA, right? It's a confidential application. So if you get called for an interview, you get a request for evidence, you can notify the field office that you filed for VAWA and provide them with the receipt numbers so that they can hopefully administratively close your I-485. Or if you have an emergency VAWA situation, you get called in for an interview, but you still haven't filed VAWA, you can also ask the field office to hold your I-485 in abeyance for 30 days. Basically, you'd ask them to not make any decision for 30 days until you can file for VAWA. So you have to file VAWA very quickly at that point, okay? So if that's your situation where you have filed an application with your spouse together, but now you're encountering problems of any type like this, give us a call, 212-248-7907. Weefy Gill, I have DACA. Could my son, who's a U.S. citizen, help me with my status? From Weefy Gill. Weefy Gill, if you have a legal entry and your son's a U.S. citizen and they're 21, then they could very easily just apply for you. However, if you don't have the legal entry, meaning that you did not enter with a visa, you did not enter with permission, and your son is 21, they can't necessarily sponsor you that easily because you lack admission into the country, okay? You lack inspection and admission. However, there are certain ways around that. For example, if you ever had somebody try to petition for you in the past, right? If your employer or relative filed an I-130 or an I-140 or a labor certification for you before April 30th, 2001, then you may be qualified to adjust through your spouse, through your son without leaving the country through something called Section 245I adjustment of status. Likewise, if your son is in the military, right? If your son is in the military, they're a veteran or they're in active duty, then maybe you qualify for something called military parole in place. The most important everything turns on your entry to the US. Everything depends on whether your entry is legal or illegal. And that's why when they say immigration is easy, get in line, that's why it's just, there's not, it's so much more complicated than that. Dear, hello. My T visa was submitted in February. I don't get any notices. It's taking some time. It's taking like 3 to 4 months to get notices right now. Can you become legal if you came in 6 years with a work visa from Eberardoy? Depends on what kind of visa, but you'd probably need further sponsorship after that, okay? Do you still see VAWA approvals on a regular basis? Thanks. Yes, Simone, yes, I do. And I want to tell you guys about a very special VAWA approval, green card approval, actually based upon a VAWA case that we just got yesterday. We still didn't get the card yet in the office. When we do, I can't wait to make a video with this client, because this client got their VAWA approved almost 10 years ago, but they were in removal proceedings, and they ended up having an order of removal from a judge, but he had a VAWA approved. He came to me with the VAWA already approved, but with the order of deportation, which we took almost 2-3 years to try to reopen. It took a very, very long time to get his case reopened, and they finally agreed. And then we finally applied for the green card, and it just came through. So it took a long time, and we're so happy for him. We are still getting VAWA approvals on the regular. Guys, the VAWA approvals are not stopping. We are still getting VAWA approvals, green card approvals, T visa approvals. One thing for sure is that we are getting a lot more requests for evidence. I predicted many months ago that we're going to get lots of requests for evidence and lots of interviews, and we are definitely 100% getting lots of RFEs. So we've been very busy at the office. A lot of these RFEs are baseless. They're useless. They're stupid. I wish I could show a request for evidence. They've gotten so it's like a form right now. And we even got a request for evidence where they didn't even check off the boxes. So we don't even know what they're asking about, okay? And this is what we're dealing with immigration. Mohit, who was it that said that? Personality, thank you so much. Keeping you and your team in my prayers. The country is in a immigration crisis right now, and it's true. We are in an immigration crisis. We're just in a constitutional crisis right now. So America, as we believe it to be, as most of us believe it to be the beacon of freedom, to be that bulwark of hope. We are praying and hoping for the best. I am keeping my eyes on the prize that we are going to get through this. We're going to get through this, and this too shall pass. Okay. So you guys hang in there as well. I just saw something from someone. Can someone with VAWA through marriage travel? Titus Glover, I already answered that. G420, I'm working with you and your team. Thank you so much. I'm so happy you're a client. And again, if you're a client watching this and we're taking a while on your case, please understand that we've gone through several changes. When we were about to file all these cases at the end of the year, they started requesting medical exams. And then they changed all the forms on us, and we had to redo everything. And I know it's disappointing to not get your case prepared in the time frame that we promised, but I promise you that we are working very hard for you, okay? All right, guys. Last question. Can DACA people get deported from Louis Blends? Louis Blends, and this is for anyone. I have VAWA clients who have deferred action, T visa clients that I think have deferred action, DACA clients that have deferred action. If you have deferred action, you can get an order of removal still, but they can't physically deport you. However, you have to also make sure that you're not committing crimes, because you could lose your deferred action through other criminal activity, okay? So just behave, just be good. Please follow the laws. All right, guys, that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. It is my pleasure to be here. I know I have not been here as much as I would like. It's only because we've been so busy. But please know that we are here for you, okay? We are here for you. We still care. We are still concerned, and we're still fighting for you. That's the most important part. We are still fighting for you, okay? Just know that not everyone out there thinks that immigrants are criminals, that immigrants are scum. I know that this country would not be what it is without the blood, sweat, and tears of immigrants, without the blood, sweat, and tears of those who have crossed borders, crossed oceans, like my parents did, like I did, to make this place their home, to make this place better. And I applaud you for your bravery, for sticking it through every single day, because it is not easy. So don't give up, okay? And our telephone number, if you need to call us, is 212-248-7907. Thank you so much, and have a good night, and God bless.